Chosen one, you were never being attacked. You were being profiled. Every delay, every test, every strange glance was a confirmation, not of weakness, of access. The top-level agents have watched long enough, and now they're stepping out of the shadows, not to challenge you, but to thank you, in person. You didn't need a headline. You didn't need a countdown. Something in you already knew. Before words formed around this moment, your body whispered it to you. A subtle tremor in your spine, a flicker in your perception, a breath that didn't feel like yours. That was the beginning, when the signal made its first contact with your nervous system. And if this message is reaching you right now, pause. That's your confirmation. You're on frequency. Like this video. Subscribe, because your next transmission is already en route. It didn't need to speak because you were already wired to understand it. This week, this Monday, is not new. It is not spontaneous. It is not an accident of time. It's been waiting in the corridors of your life, hidden in plain sight, etched into the arc of your becoming. You weren't supposed to stumble into this moment. You were always going to arrive here. You were always going to hear this. Not because someone told you, but because something inside you remembered. You were built with an inner receiver, tuned to this specific frequency. This moment is an echo you've been chasing across lifetimes. You may have mistaken the unrest in your sleep, the static in your thoughts, the sudden withdrawals from distractions as random, but those weren't disruptions. They were instructions. A pulling back so you could hear the pull forward. The disorientation wasn't confusion. It was recalibration. You're not just waking up. You're being aligned. This is a checkpoint embedded in your soul's architecture. A moment chosen far before you had a name. If it feels like time is folding in on itself, that's because this Monday isn't a date. It's a doorway. You're not standing in time. You're standing between timelines. That tension in your chest, that's the weight of choice pressing against illusion. And while your body may be on Earth, your frequency is being monitored by more than what you see. Not all the eyes watching you belong to people. There are intelligences, subtle, ancient, and invisible, that track movement not by foot, but by frequency. They know the sound of awakening. They know what it looks like when a human soul remembers itself. You've triggered interest not because you followed the rules, but because you exited the script. You stopped playing the part. You've become signal, not noise. You are not being warned. This isn't a threat. This isn't fear. It's something entirely more sacred. You are being summoned. The call isn't to fix the world. The call is to step into your real function, the one you suspected you had, but couldn't quite name. This is not about saving anyone. It's about syncing with what you were always meant to transmit. You are not here to echo back what's been. You are here to introduce what's next. But let's be clear. Most will miss it. Not because they are unworthy, but because they are unready. The alarm is not loud. The signal is not explosive. It's refined. It requires pain-polished perception, the kind only forged through silence, heartbreak, and relentless inner work. Those who still need noise will sleep through this. The message is only audible to those who have made peace with the quiet. To those who have learned to feel the truth when the world tries to bury it in distraction. If you're still listening, then you're one of the few who were built for this kind of hearing. You didn't come for comfort. You came for convergence, for that sacred point where truth, timing, and transformation intersect. That's not something you learn. That's something you are. You're not on the edge of a moment. You are the moment. And now, that moment is shifting. The battlefield isn't out there. It's forming around you, cloaked in elegance. Underneath the calm exterior, the battlefield is set. Mars enters Libra, not with a roar, but with a handshake. You'll feel it in the way someone agrees too quickly, smiles too long, delays too smoothly. Harmony is now camouflage. Every compromise may be a quiet surrender you're not aware you're making. Conflict here wears a tailored suit. It speaks with perfect grammar while sharpening the knife behind its back. If something feels off but looks composed, trust the feeling. This is not a time for politeness. This is a time for precision. Mars is not pacified by Libra. It is weaponized by it. You'll begin to notice that the loudest voices are not the ones causing the most disruption. It's the passive ones, the delays, the silences, the avoidance, that carry danger now. Strategic passivity is a power play. This energy doesn't yell. It calculates. You may find yourself in the middle of someone else's power struggle, not knowing how you got involved. That's because you're the neutral space others are trying to occupy. But neutrality is no longer possible. You're the scale itself, and they're piling weights on both sides, hoping you'll tilt in their favor. The question is not whether the scales will tip. The question is, toward whom? And just as that question forms, it gets ripped in half. The Aquarius full moon doesn't ask what side you're on. It exposes why the sides exist at all. A wave of energy hits like a flash of lightning. This is not spiritual growth through gentle reflection. This is brutal honesty, instant knowing, immediate consequence. What was buried under niceties and delays now erupts with nowhere to hide. This moon doesn't whisper. It detonates. Aquarius sends truth not through intuition, but through breakdowns, broadcasts, exposures, ruptures. Expect shocking clarity. A thought you've been trying to avoid thinking for weeks will suddenly announce itself, fully formed, undeniable. Secrets others thought were safe will surface in casual conversation. Conversations you thought were harmless will reveal hidden intentions. Systems, personal or collective, that were built on unspoken rules will collapse as those rules are suddenly spoken aloud. Aquarius doesn't care about comfort. It cares about alignment, and it will tear apart what's false to get there. Then it gets closer and sharper. You will look at the people around you and realize not all warmth is safe. Some support has been rehearsed. Some closeness has been strategic. The most dangerous blade might not come from a stranger. It might come from someone who knows exactly where your soft spots are. Proximity is no longer proof of loyalty. You will need to separate familiarity from integrity. Someone smiling at your success may also be silently measuring themselves against it. Someone checking in on you may not be checking for you. Today, trust is no longer something you give out of habit. It must be earned again. The cracks are subtle at first. Delayed responses, jokes that don't land right, support that feels slightly performative. These are not coincidences. This is exposure, and it's personal. The universe is not revealing hidden forces in the sky. It's revealing them in your group chats, your kitchen, your inner circle. This energy doesn't arrive with mystery. It arrives with evidence. So stay alert. The mask of harmony is slipping. The light is unforgiving. And the betrayal is familiar. It doesn't just reveal in what they say. It shows up in what their body can't hide. They'll say all the right things, but their body will never co-sign the script. Watch the moment their eyes drift. Not during silence, but in the instant they agree with you. It's not just distraction, it's disassociation. Their voice might offer warmth, but their shoulders will twitch upward, tense, like they're bracing for a blow you never threw. People don't realize how loudly stillness speaks, especially when their arms cross just as you become vulnerable, or when their feet angle toward the door while their mouth insists, "I'm here for you." The betrayal won't arrive with a declaration. It will arrive with a shift in posture. Small, subtle, but sharp enough to slice trust in half. You'll feel it before you name it. When you confide something sacred and their spine locks instead of softens. When the fake smile is too symmetrical, too rehearsed, and fades too fast. Genuine support leans in. This one leans away. Their warmth is a performance that doesn't match their pulse, and the body doesn't lie forever. The longer you observe, the more it starts to leak. A twitch, a glance, a shallow breath, timed just after you speak. The truth will not scream. It will flinch. Then come the questions. But they're not seeking connection. They're scanning for advantage. Curiosity becomes a scalpel. What sounds like concern is a data collection operation. "So, what did you do next?" isn't interest. It's an audit. Especially if it comes from someone who's never cared about the details before. Now they want specifics. Now they're tuned in to every missed beat of your story. This is not friendship. This is surveillance wrapped in politeness. And the longer you explain yourself, the deeper you walk into a trap of your own openness. Their nods are checkpoints, not affirmations. Every pause you take becomes part of their strategy. When you hesitate, their inner calculus sharpens. Where are you uncertain, insecure, unsure? Your words are being weighed, not welcomed. They don't need your secrets. They only need your uncertainty. Information is value, and you keep handing it out like it costs you nothing. But they are already investing it, turning your vulnerability into potential leverage. Every sentence you complete, for the sake of peace, is another inch of rope they'll keep, just in case. And yet some won't say anything at all. They'll just sit beside you, smile softly, and drain you like a slow leak in your own aura. No harsh words, no probing looks, just a quiet heaviness that enters with them and settles like fog after they leave. You won't always catch it in the moment, but your nervous system will. You'll feel strangely tired after a short conversation, mentally foggy, emotionally flat, and then the compliments come, but they land wrong. You're brave to do that. I know I never could. It sounds kind, but plants a seed of doubt. Were you reckless instead of brave? Were they warning you? They'll say it while holding your hand. And still, something inside recoils. Their presence doesn't energize. It distorts. Your thoughts spiral after they speak. Not because of what they said, but because of how they left your field. Static, muddled, disoriented. These are not wounds, they're withdrawals. And the theft is silent, cloaked in kindness. You'll notice you breathe easier when they cancel plans. You'll notice you sleep better when they don't call. That's not coincidence. That's your spirit recognizing safety in their absence. Because some people don't stab you. They simply sit next to you until your light dims without you realizing. And when you finally reclaim your space, your silence, your clarity, they'll ask, "Are you okay?" Not to help, but to map the damage. But now that they're gone, something else arrives. Not louder, quieter, not human, cosmic. Their absence created just enough silence for something sacred to step forward. It doesn't come with a knock. It doesn't shimmer. It doesn't call your name. And yet, every Monday, the invisible door appears. Just long enough for the right eyes to notice. It's not in your calendar. It's not part of your to-do list. But if you're quiet enough, honest enough, still enough, you'll feel it. a pause in time, a crack in the script. And in that silent frame, the choice is waiting. Not between good and bad, but between real and unreal. Most will scroll past it. Hit snooze. Blame the fatigue on just another Monday. But for you, this Monday is not a reset. It's a reveal. The old version of you has reached its limit. The new version isn't asking for permission. This isn't a cycle. It's a doorway, and it will not stay open forever. You don't need permission to walk through. You need precision, and precision starts with pattern. The universe is not vague. It repeats itself on purpose. A glance once is nothing. A glance 3 times is everything. You've already seen it. The same phrase from 3 mouths. The same number showing up on unfamiliar clocks. The same emotional weather whenever a certain topic surfaces. It's not coincidence. Coincidence was a lie to keep you from trusting your psychic memory. What repeats is what reveals. Forget what they said. Replay how it felt. The words lie. The energy loops. You're not being haunted by mistakes. You're being whispered to by meaning. Those moments that echo. They're training. The rhythm is speaking. You just haven't stopped dancing long enough to hear it. Start recording the patterns, not to expose them, but to understand your decoding skill. You were never meant to fit in. You were meant to interpret what didn't make sense to anyone else. You were the target, not because you were weak, but because you were translating what the rest of the room refused to see. You knew it wasn't just a conversation. You knew it wasn't just a joke. You sensed the distortion before anyone admitted the signal was corrupt. That wasn't paranoia. That was prophecy. They didn't test you to break you. They tested you to see if you were already awake. And you were. You didn't flinch when it got quiet. You listened harder. You didn't run when it got dark. You saw clearer. That wasn't survival. That was selection. They weren't watching to judge you. They were watching to confirm you. You weren't sent to scream back at chaos. You were sent to decode its message. That's why it followed you. That's why the same themes keep finding you. Because the message wasn't for the crowd. It was encoded in your field. And the agents? They were never chasing you. They were orbiting until your arrival triggered the next phase. Monday isn't a day of the week anymore. It's a key. And pattern isn't repetition. It's revelation. What looks like routine is really a cipher. You're not late. You're exactly where the door needs you to be. Not because it's waiting, but because you're ready to walk through, without needing applause, warning, or a map. The old you asked for signs. The current you is the sign. The old you needed proof. The new you walks as confirmation. You don't need to predict anything now. You're the one being watched for how you handle the information you were born to carry. And when they ask why it's you, why now, why this exact hour, the answer won't be found in history. It will be found in your decision to stop being available to distortion. Because the translator has arrived, the door has appeared, and the pattern was always waiting for someone to stop explaining and start embodying. And if this reached you, it wasn't by accident. So don't just scroll past. Claim it. Like, comment, and subscribe. Because next time the door opens, you won't want to miss what walks through it.